meteorologist, Stephen Jones.
Well, as we're taking a look at the time lapse looking off to the west, you can see pretty much that wall-to-wall sunshine today. Pretty great New Year's Eve. Just a little bit of those upper level clouds trying to work in. Of course, got that sunset going just around 5:45 p.m. today, and as that sun went down under these mostly clear skies, we're seeing temperatures cool down pretty nicely and pretty quickly. And comparing those to yesterday, we're about 5 to 15 or even 18 degrees cooler than we were at this time yesterday there in Brady. Temperatures right now coming around the lower 40s down towards I-10 junction at that 41 degree mark. Here in town at that 45 degree mark, all of us joining us in the 40s right now, and we're going to be making our way towards that freezing mark and below going into these overnight hours. That's partially thanks to where these dew points are at, being pretty low as well. 30 degree dew point here in town, down towards I-10 in the 20s. Those relative humidity indices on the rise towards the 50s as these temperatures are coming closer to them. But overall, with the air so dry out there, that's not going to help our temperatures come down pretty quickly, and looking like that light freeze in place going into the overnight hours. Moisture tracker over the next 2 days is going to show you all this dry air in the west, but we're going to see a little bit of return flow as our winds turn from the east-southeast going into tomorrow. You can see some of those greens definitely making their return to the Concho Valley, and towards the Gulf Coast of Texas, you can see those concentrations of blue just off the coast. So we can hope for some of more of that moisture making its way in and trying to get some more rain, because it's been quite a bit now that we've been without some of that rain, just some of these cooler temperatures, and that's going to be continuing going into these next 7 days. The upper level pattern showing you this last trough that moved through, bringing that cooler air today, going to continue its trek to the east, and then going into this weekend, we're going to see this upper level ridge pushing into the Rocky Mountains there and right overhead for the Concho Valley. That's helping those temperatures come up towards those 70s by Sunday is what it's looking like. But as we're looking towards the west coast, that next upper level trough right behind it going to be digging down going into Sunday and Monday, and you can see kind of a double whammy situation as that next trough already working in. So a bunch of cold air going to be pushing into the central portion of the United States as we're going into that Tuesday to Wednesday time frame of next week. That's where those temperatures are looking like the 40s for when we're going into the daytime highs. Currently on the national satellite, you can see that last upper level swirl over the Great Lakes bringing some good rain towards New York right now, so hopefully that doesn't affect the ball drop too much. But as we look towards the west coast, you can see that Pacific moisture working into the Pacific Northwest as well as towards the southern portions of Baja California there, working overhead. And as we zoom into Texas, some of that upper level cloud cover we were looking at earlier up towards the north has finally started to move in a little bit, but overall not too much. It's not going to be keeping our temperatures warm going into these overnight hours, and probably going to be quickly moving out as well, so not going to be too many viewing conditions, or too bad in terms of viewing conditions. Going into the futurecast, you can see that pretty well how we continue with these clear skies going into the overnight hours. Temperatures going down, 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 and looking like that light freeze in place tomorrow for the first day of the new year. Looking pretty great out there, just about that wall-to-wall sunshine, maybe a few upper level clouds making their way into the region, but not going to stop, not going to be too bad going into the day. Thursday morning, maybe a little bit more of that low level cloud cover as that moisture makes its return, but overall throughout the day, look at that, the sun pops right back out going into the afternoon, and luckily not going to be too bad in terms of that heat as we go into that Thursday time frame, it's looking like. But remember, going into tonight with those lighter winds out of the east-northeast around 5 miles an hour, definitely looking like that light freeze for all of us in place going into the Concho Valley. I wouldn't rule out some upper 20s in some of those low-lying areas going into the overnight. And then tomorrow for the first day of the new year, I'm only calling 58 here in town, maybe a 60 degree mark here or there as we're going through the day thanks to the sunny conditions. So, and of course, we're also going to see that return flow from the east-southeast as we start to see a little bit of moisture trying to work its way back into the area. And then we've got a couple cold fronts to talk about these next few days. This first one going from Thursday to Friday brings us back from that 70 degree mark into the 60s, keeps us from warming up too much going into the weekend. But look at that, by Saturday into Sunday, 67 and 72. Then we've got the big cold front that works in going into next week, that next plunge of Arctic air that works in going from 72 to 52 for Monday, and even those overnight lows pushing down from the upper 40s into the upper 20s by Monday night. That's going to be all for your 7-day forecast, but stick around for more KSAN News.